Yes.
Welcome everyone to the Millburn Township Planning Board meeting. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. Be advised that notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board at Town Hall and serving the officially designated newspapers a list of the meeting dates annually, indicating that this meeting would take place at Millburn Board of Education Center Building at 7:30 p.m. on May 20th, 2026. May I have a roll call, please?
Jonathan Baxter. Allison Canfield. Michael Cohen.
Here.
Jorge Mastro Petro.
Here.
Deborah Neves. Frank Sacamandi.
Here.
Michael Zion.
Here.
Vice Chair Srini Vijay.
Here.
Chair Gaston Hubbard.
Here.
Sergey Sisto.
Here.
Chris Heinrichs.
Here. We have a quorum. All right, good evening, everybody. We do have a full agenda tonight. There have been a couple versions circulating. I just wanted to clarify that the final version, and it was made to make sure that we do get through everything on time, even if we have to extend a little bit to finish everything up, but we intend to finish everything tonight. We'll start off with a housekeeping and approval of minutes. Then we'll go into executive session if the board chooses to do so. We'll next go to new business, I guess, ordinance 2748-26. And then with your patience, we'll finally get into application 26004.
Mr. Chairman, if I may just add, just for clarification purposes for everyone, the agenda, its items themselves have not changed. Frankly, it was the order that did change, just to be clear. And the ordinance that we'll be doing, that's a master plan consistency, will be not a public hearing, just a master, not just, but a master plan consistency review. So I just want to put that clarification, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much. So let's start off with the approval of minutes. Did everybody receive the March 4th, 2026 regular meeting minutes? Does anybody have any questions or comments on them? I will make a motion to adopt the regular meeting minutes for March 4th, 2026. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Full attendance, no abstentions.
Motion passes. On to the next set of meeting minutes, regular meeting minutes for March 18th, 2026. Did everybody receive the minutes? And are there any questions? No questions being asked. I'll make a motion to approve and adopt the minutes for March 18th, 2026. Do I have a second? A second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Please note the abstentions. So
I'll abstain. That was about. Motion passes. Final set of minutes, the executive session for March 18th, 2026. Did everybody receive them? And does anybody have any questions? No questions being asked. I'll make a motion to approve and adopt the minutes for the executive session for March 18th, 2026. Do I have a second? A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? One abstention. Motion passes. Okay, on to the next order of business. We have an executive session in which we're going to discuss pending litigation for the High Center for Living Judaism Incorporated, or Inc. Versus the Township of Millburn, New Jersey, Township of Millburn, New Jersey Planning Board. And we will also be discussing pending litigation concerning the fourth round of affordable housing. Steve, can you please tee us up?
certainly, Mr. Chairman, happy to do so. We have a resolution that provides for the acceptance of the Public Meetings Act for certain matters, including under 12B7 of that act. The public may be excluded from pending litigation matters, which are the two that the chairman just noted: the High Center for Living Judaism and the Affordable Housing declaratory judgment action. It's anticipated that deliberations conducted in closed session will be disclosed to the public upon determination of the planning board that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality, and the resolution shall take effect immediately. So as with all resolutions, if we could have a motion second and a roll call vote, please.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session. Do I have a second? Roll call vote, please.
Michael Cohen,
Yes.
Jorge Mastro
Yes.
Frank Sacamandi,
Yes.
Michael Zion,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sweeney VJ,
Yes.
Chair Gaston Hopper,
Yes.
Rudy Sisto,
Yes.
Chris Heinrichs.
Motion passes. All right.
I believe we will be departing, but we will be returning shortly. That's going to conclude the executive session.
Transcriber, I've seen you cover other hearings for me before.
You do a lot of humans.
I know.
I do this for a living.
You know who you kind of look like? You look like, it's the mayor of,
Mayor.
Are you the mayor anywhere?
I'm not, but.
Oh,
Fairfield?
maybe the new one, yes. Mike, I was gonna say the mayor of Bridgewater, Mayor of Bridgewater, Slater. The mayor, Michael,
Bob, Jim. Yeah, we do this all night.
Yeah, look it up now.
Now I'm interested.
You look a little like Jared. The gentleman running the governor. Can't pronounce it.
Citarelli?
Yeah.
And we.
So now what are you thinking on you?
I don't think that's a comment.
It could be
a body
Yeah, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
I've been called a lot of
Yes.
things in my life.
Jonathan, Fairfield, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
gas leach,
Yes.
burning.
Yes. Yes, hold on.
Pause on the
Switch up the job and become a bodybuilder.
Really?
But see,
Gasparini,
it does-
Mayor Gasparini.
it's hard for me to say because I actually have a twin brother.
Oh, do you really?
I do, so people are always like, oh, you guys look alike, and I'm like, no, we don't. Well, I don't see any of it, so.
You guys, fraternal or fraternal?
We're fraternal, but everybody says we look a lot alike. I don't see it, but
It's probably harder for you guys to see it in each other.
yeah,
I even had the same problem with my sister. Everybody's like, oh, you guys look so much alike.
but you don't see it, right?
Like, what do you mean?
That's even
Right.
for a female and a male.
When we were kids.
Yeah.
My father was like, all right, I'm gonna do that. So pull both our hair back, around up for him to set the face.
Oh, no, yeah.
Here, and we were both like, oh my God, we did.
How does this make any sense? We're still essentially. It's like a legal matter.
It's good, no,
Discussion.
no, I think
Because
you're
you're
right.
like, I get it. Like, there's areas I don't become more prone to. You know, other thing, whatever. Like, are you planning to compensate for the land? Like, what's the mechanism? Are those landowners old? Right? I'm not saying I have the answer. I'm not saying doing nothing is the answer.
When
When I worked in Fairfield 10 years ago,
Because I think.
his hair was not white, but
You
see it like a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Yes.
Which is, it's the, one of the only instances I can think of where the. That's all I think also, so. You know, it's fun, yes, for me, the discussion that seems to have been, speak people is, not switching around, first because sometimes I can. Others always say, hey, you should problem, right? And I'm not saying you're wrong, but like they just have that. I think once you start looking at this. And how they behave straight, these things have the ability to be developed. They like support their tax base, they're like, huh, you know, you're not just. You're not just. Limiting potential. How does that be so intrinsically old?
The ripples that.
Financial functions, right, like tiny towns of. Union like I'm sure that's a big neighborhood for us. It's in our downtown. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. And all our planning perspective, I see for our shoot in our downtown planning, it just so happens that we're not talking about it. Well, like I didn't correct that, are you telling me? Isn't it a way to sensibly say you can do it while buildings in a way so that it can like maintain. Because that's
Find ways to compensate for it, that's the issue.
yeah, like
West,
again,
I live in Westwood. There's a lot of streams that flood, and there's a lot of issues, because of that's the right.
Yeah.
So Westwood occasionally is buying properties that are in the thing.
Yeah.
If you know, as long as they're buying,
yeah, I think
Kind of
there's, you know, there's.
offset things to the cost issue.
Deal with that. But that was a single thing of most of it, just. Yeah. Fair enough, like, but those two strategies to me, you don't have to be true. But they can exist at us. Yeah. You know, like, I don't know why one has to be true at the other can't. Yeah. Look what was going on in Florida, people, actually their condos. There is, they can't get insurance. Or insurance in general. Hurricane, and all that stuff. Really wild, man. And the state is saying that's not repairs to get ready and you can afford it. Right. All of a sudden, like, how do they come over? I have a $500,000 bill. Yeah. Yeah. Where's that money coming from? It's really scary. And now, regulating also mortgages. So, and the mortgages, they're stuck, you know. Yeah, like, what do I do with this? And does it just go, like, does it just go with the matter? Like, it's, you know, again, I'm like, go level, you're like, I get it, those are areas but I think for what you do in reality, all those people, if some families like, we own this house, it's like, anyway, did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Exciting.
Ross, 1980, came out of nowhere. At five, one hits on this album. Nobody ever had a golden voice, a sense of phrasing or music. One hit album, and one other hit Arthur song, if you remember from an old TV show. Never heard from him again after that. It got no love from the public. He came out as a very famous white man at the time.
Because they told me why.
With no,
You know what I did do was like just, I'm not a big music guy, right? So like, take whatever that takes a grain of salt, great salt, like heck, right?
you were Christopher Cross.
No. I doesn't, can you say without commenting?
We got him down below that.
I did not also know when you get this, he sang.
Although he doesn't drive.
Yeah. I just, you know, like obviously everyone, anyone of our vintage knows those two, makes it those two songs. You're not as old as me, I get it.
Well,
You were about
I didn't want to
say
say it.
Yeah.
I wanted to give you a look.
So,
since I
yeah,
knew
like,
that
I'm not
third.
your vintage, but even, you know what I'm saying, anyone who's not like under 15, definitely, there's a. And I want this can be a part of the sample, because I always thought, you know, was that like, I was one here, I wanted to about guns on it, I think that was it. He sang for those two, dude.
But he don't really get Social Security.
What do you think the residuals are on those two babies?
Just the. This is crazy. I don't watch it. They expect it to come in. But they watch documentary. Why would you not have myself? Right, I don't know what the numbers are.
What was the Maple Leaf stuff?
Oh,
I don't remember that.
Luke was amazing.
Okay, okay.
Well, and I would imagine, again, I'm not a person, I know you work, like, I think probably writing music for that, for like jingle, you know, it's harder than probably most people can write it there, right? Like,
I had a friend who did it.
Yeah.
You're a music guy?
He's not like classically.
Yeah.
licensed. And I heard him.
even cooler. Even cooler to be a classic guitar.
I played in a death metal band.
Hell yeah.
Did you really, or did you make that up?
Oh, no, I did.
Was that just for you?
I grew up in rural Pennsylvania. Was trying to make my way. I've been to various states. I gotta show you a picture of me in Moscow. Oh my God, it's terrible.
Honestly, that'll think.
Yes. You're how old in the death metal year?
That would have
Like
been
14, 15?
no, it would have been 15 through 17.
Age is 15 or 17.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know you meant 2015 to 2017.
No, no, that would have been 2005. I was trying to find my,
Like 2020, I got out of it.
39.
I want to wait. Okay.
Yeah, high school 2005. I went from a small high school of 5 people in my 8th grade class to a high school of 3,000 kids. So it was just, what's that? Northeast PA. So going from 5 to 3,000 was, yes, also it was socially inept.
Well, that's a big social
Yes.
fishbowl to get into. That's not,
I did not have the developed skills
yeah,
of.
you develop those over time, not usually.
Yes, not like that. Wow. So the kid who sat in front of me, was in a death metal band. I bought I bought a death metal pedal. I had a Schecter, dual humbucker.
And did you already know how to play guitar and you just switched to playing like that kind of
I
music?
started playing guitar.
Interesting.
Super huge, 5150 eventually.
I had a 51, no, so I never progressed beyond, I got a Schecter, dual humbucker, I never progressed, I got a summer job. Wow, I was 13, 14.
Yeah.
And I bought a 50-watt Marshall lamp.
Yeah. It's either a Marshall or.
Yeah, had a Marshall, exactly. I bought an Epiphone and, played in this horrible band. We did a show. At Penn State. There's no pic, well, there's a picture of it. It's never ever shown. It's definitely bad. We did, fishnet stockings. Okay, paint their faces white.
And your wife saw this before or after
She
you
never seen
proposed?
this picture.
Never would want. How your best man didn't have a picture of that.
With black teardrops.
That's great.
And
Is she aware of it?
she's a big aware of it. Sweet. And it had, there were girls not interested in me, but the guys. Dancing. I mean, it was just horrible music. There was 13 people who showed up, including my father.
Yeah, and the other two may have been the other two guys' parents.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
This is the other band.
Yeah. And when you say at Penn State Hazleton, are we talking frat house or the school page?
Oh, they didn't pay us, they just let us use their space for free.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, I'm just
It
curious.
was like a
Was it
little
paid?
bit of stage. Yeah, not at all. Was paid, I didn't see it.
Yeah,
You're like.
the other
gas
guys,
money.
each got, the other guys each got $10.
Were you or not?
Carleton College, Minnesota.
Carl.
Love arts. Well, I had to get far away. I had to get out.
I went to the big city, Minnesota. Where, is it in like Minneapolis or I don't know? where?
No, it's
Oh,
45 minutes south of, it's in northern Minnesota, which is where the Jesse James gang is. I lived in an apartment above the bank where the Jesse James gang had their, you know, it's the penultimate shootout because he survived and then was shot later. But every year they have, this is about down the road, and there's two colleges. And Jesse James Day Festival, which took place below where we live.
As a college kid, you're like, we're in the heart of the party.
We're in the heart of the party.
It's kind of an odd thing to celebrate. Well, that's
So
it's
it's,
just celebrate what you
they
get.
would have let, because we lived there, we could put two chairs out in front of the door, the guys would come out of the bank. Always got your guns, they're robbing the bank, we'd say it all in unison. And
Yeah.
horses, yeah.
Yeah, that part felt.
Yeah.
Didn't even speak of.
Right.
Yeah, because you don't do that.
Especially on 1%.
Yeah.
Northville, Minnesota. Smaller
What was the other college?
You said St. Olaf. Across the way, on the other side of town, across the river, the train tracks road.
Right, we wouldn't argue back these.
Ah.
Did you get your GED yet?
No, I got my, PA,
Okay.
my college degree, and I came back, and now I'm like, I'm not in New York City anymore. I was sitting with guys tonight. But I couldn't afford going to high school in New York. So I collectors, got some money from the school, got a job, whatever.
Is your first job
At law school? I did-
at law school?
Yeah, did a year of clerkship, for Simon Judge and Morris, and then went with John. That's how I met him. We tried a couple cases. Yeah, it's still okay. Very good.
Easy.
Haven't left.
You're the heir apparent.
Well.
In my own mind. Well, who's John Level retired?
I was just gonna say.
No,
This seems like the man that's even like ready to put one toe up.
He's the way whose attorneys were until they're like.
He does not strike
me.
My uncle's dad, he's doing work.
He's gonna go. He's got life issues.
Who's that? No, they know it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, a lot of them end up working like a lot less. Yeah. 3 days. Yeah. And then they have like lots of transgender Johnson.
Barry Manball came to a meeting. Barry Manball came to a meeting before. 2 weeks ago.
Those things.
If not more.
He's shot.
See, but
I used to try to feel like having watched my dad, there's definitely something to like staying engaged in something, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be, oh, I think it's 60 hours a week, but you know, it's something, whether it's your church or community or whatever, the thing is that like you want to spend your time, but don't completely disengage. So absolutely.
went to Teal to serve.
It was called.
Teal to serve. It's like. You would.
I just met a guy the other day, he was talking about, he took up the guitar later in life. And he's like, I made a mistake with that one. What was that? He's like, I played the bass. And he said, the reason being, he's like, you really can't play the bass unless you have a group, you know, like, because the bass is keeping rhythm. You have to have at least another couple, you know, a person or a couple people playing with her. And he's like, so it got very hard because I figured out later in life, I didn't have like a group of guys that I played regularly. So it was like difficult to just like play on my own. And I was like, well, why didn't you then, if you were going to have the bass, why didn't you just teach yourself to play acoustic, right? You know, like what's some other option? He's like, that would have been a smart move. He's like, I was just lazy. And he's like, I kind of like took it. I was like,
Assumed it was the easiest.
yeah. Like, it was just someone should have said to me, like, hey, dummy, play an acoustic guitar, not the bass. If you know, as a 50-year-old man or whatever.
I did it for the fun. I enjoy music, I love music, listen to it all the time. I was somebody who was dedicated thousands of hours.
Do you still play every once in a while or not?
No, we meet up in my buddies. He's got a studio in his basement, we'll play every once in a while.
But not regularly.
I sold all my equipment,
And even all your instruments, if you don't have anything.
just, I had my first bass I ever bought just because. Yeah.
You're sentimental.
Got all the crazy stickers and stuff like that. I sold it.
Do you keep it somewhere, like, is it like mounted up somewhere in a room, or is it like in the back of the closet?
Against my work's judgment. Not at all.
I get that.
She didn't make you move it all that.
Yeah.
You're like, listen, that's the reason I even made you get this thing right out of the bedroom.
She met me there that time. Dance. So she thought it was funny.
I was in college clubs and we didn't he failed that freshman year. I swear it's because he literally spent 12 hours a day with the guitar in his hand.
Yeah, you're like, if you spent half the energy that you expelled on the guitar, on learning,
Went up
it would have been fun. You probably would have been fine.
So I think he never did out for a year, then he went back.
Did he better the guitar?
He, oh no, he got it.
Really good.
Yeah, I mean, he had a year.
Yeah.
It was just a bass, listen to what that song and figure
Figure
it
it
out,
out,
like,
yeah.
his.
I'm amazed by that, because I don't have that at all. That was amazing to me. That kind of like musical talent, to just do it, that's amazing.
Sheer number of like, he was very, very antisocial.
Yeah.
So we like to get paid out of the bar, hang out there, and know what you do.
Shows I had talk in the coke.
Just needed a few other people, but again, he was so social. I'm quiet. This was scary. I mean, like you're side by side, I'm doing it like this, work, all of a sudden, I wanna go to dinner, jump out of my chair,
Yeah.
scare the heck out
You're
of
like,
me.
you haven't said anything in 3 days.
That's the only thing you say every day. It's amazing. The people, and what they became, is the counting. Like, well, then, my wife's father was a good boy. These. College. Oh my God. Kidding me. You Rutgers? No, Leland. That's right. Far enough away that I can still get back. Right. But not, we're close enough to the country show, right?
Well, and I would imagine, what years were you there?
88 to 94.
How can you imagine how dramatically different a place is? I mean, I think all schools have gone over like the evolution in the last 25
Did you say
years.
88, 94? Yeah. For the lowest time?
Yeah, it's tough, man.
I started with civil engineering.
After the first year, I switched into the dual engineering architecture.
Says the
program.
death metal guy over here.
Still
math, still math.
It was a confidence
Not very
call.
good, Matt, but-
I mean, not that time frame, but my younger brother went to Lafayette. I went to Millburg, my wife, and I just looked at like how some of those Lehigh Valley schools have changed. Lots of schools have, but those are the ones that I know best. And it's gotta be, feel like a totally different place, yeah. Yeah, my wife went to grad school at Lehigh, yeah,
I've done like the Google.
yeah.
Where, what happened to this? Where is
Yeah,
that?
that used to be the trailer park, that was a big lawn.
There's a stadium there. Where's that building?
Well, and I mean, then you get it, but like, what did it cost when you went there? I believe it's like 90 grand a year now, or something like that. It's bananas. Yeah. So I think, I mean, the numbers are fine.
No, we didn't, by the way, I don't think things no longer exist. So now, I think people are gonna continue to spend for liberal arts education at 2,000 school.
I don't disagree, or they're gonna have to, or something's gonna have to change, right? Something's gonna have to change, because I agree with you, like, what's the value proposition? It's like, really, maybe I guess if you're gonna be a doctor, at school, or you just don't want a bigger school, or like, what happens in lower schools gonna survive?
They're gonna get merged in with other universities.
Yeah, who
Yeah,
That's what happened.
Yeah, my wife's a professor at Payton, they just absorbed NJCU.
That's a whole other story.
That's a whole other story, but yeah, but you know, like it's.
That was my,
Drew is
my baby for a while.
It's hard.
Education leverage way back. But that was like a nice.
Thinking. It's just learning, they're on less. They're all. Once the big state goes.
And then it becomes this race of, okay, so people who want to go to places, let's like short this, right? The Ivies are always desirable, but like those Boston colleges, the other places that are like uber popular, and it's like, well, if we do what they do, people don't come over, like, oh, this is so. And they're certainly not gonna come out and they're very charged. Having to sit gas on. You know, it's funny, I don't disagree, I would actually say now the trend that I'm seeing, I don't know if you're seeing it, maybe, I don't know how old it is.
I had one at Maryland.
Oh, so you didn't say, I know, like, we have one.
It's acknowledged already?
At one, never, one to a senior in high school.
Alright, so we're in a similar boat, I have one who's a junior, gonna be a senior in college next year, and one who's a senior in high school this year, gonna be a freshman in college next year. I feel like that SEC experience, that's what kids very, for kids, but kids who are like smart,
Oh,
they could have gotten into like hyper good Northeast, Ivy or Jet or Ivy, but they're like, I could go to a really good business programs there and get the SEC sports experience, like, and by the way, mom and dad are happy because the starting tuition is $10,000-$55,000. Then when the starting tuition is.
Everyone wants to go to Texas.
Yeah, and LSU, South Carolina,
Richmond, yeah.
And it's hard, how do you look at it, like, no, you shouldn't go to South Carolina with the weather.
Right.
Stay here, go to New Hampshire.
Right.
That's what you should do. Actually, you know what, we should all go, like, I'll go with you. I was just talking to a dad, his oldest is the age of our youngest, so it's just different perspectives, he's older in life, but his oldest kid is the age of our youngest, and he's got a boy and a girl, and he spent a lot of time with his son lab, and he's like I said to him when we were talking about it, they're only in 7th grade, his oldest one. I'm like, Sean, what are you gonna do? I'm going with it. Like, he didn't see me, I'm going with it. I was like, seriously, he's like, I don't know if I can hang, man, like me, my wife and daughter, like, I don't know. He's like, I guess I'll just be there a lot. Like, you better check with him.
Yeah.
Those things, I think that's great.
He's gonna go somewhere where he wants to get away. a little bit.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, how far would it have to be before you become a regular?
Nice and certain thing about launches.
Yeah, I think it's very good.
He's gonna be a senior next year. And where did you send Maryland?
So that was.
Older.
Yeah, my son actually was getting recruited by me a little bit further across.
Oh, that's funny.
But he doesn't want to go to such a small school or anything. Rather go have fun. he's looking at Indiana, Penn State, or down south, he likes. He likes Elon.
A couple kids more time.
Yeah, I think that's a
Great.
yeah, exactly. Maybe Carlson. So,
Our oldest got recruited to play baseball in college. You didn't play it. Did you play sport?
No.
I was like, I don't think so.
No.
I don't know, maybe you did. You were playing sport in college, even if you did, you really have to like think it through.
Huge
It's a
pressure.
job.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is great. Like,
You just do
you
it.
own it, but you don't really, own it, right? But like, but you just have to be careful.
Still thing that, yeah.
How much do you love it? Do you love the coaches? Do you love the people,
Right.
like the friend? Yeah. But it does give you a network instead of games.
But it's, I will say that, we had a couple kids from Washington there go through the process for the entire social scene on quality was all the athletes.
Yeah.
Their attorneys are delivering meetings now.
Yeah, they ran all that.
Years, maybe, yeah,
Oh, okay. I was like, I know you were well.
but literally like, it's across the entire now with soccer girls.
Yeah.
It's just like the athletics are so.
That's exactly what my son got at South Bay, and it's the exact same thing. There aren't even fraternities short there, and also it's each university basically has like a football and spring they all formal, it's really just a party.
Yeah.
And then it's like they're friendly with others, that's what the social is.
Yes, so.
Which there's nothing wrong. It's just, but if you're like, how do I do it? And not that everyone has to go there.
No.
But
You should.
you should, or at least you should experience it enough that you decide that it's not for you, you know, like not just like have access.
Talking about it, we were going here, about that video cameras in the pocket, you know, they dumb shit. God.
Yeah, I know it.
So I thought we married. But his sister was 20 years younger, brother 22 years younger. So the sister. So, so we, well, you need to see where your sister goes. And I'm like, well, you know, somebody's gonna find something like this. Call up. Listen, you do what you do. Don't post it. It's gonna come back.
There's a lot of young people that worked there, I'm just seeing guys from like town.
Is that
They're out about.
Oh, yeah, it's going.
It was so bad.
Yeah, it's going bad, for sure.
It was bad when I was sitting in the parking lot, then I took a break, so I get combat ran in and did like 30 seconds of each other. Guys like that out there in the town, are like, you guys are down, you know, so it must, another like cell must have.
Hey, Al.
If you're doing it.
You'll, go with the both.
That you-
Don't introduce all. I think we.
And AC.
One or two. Three, just went too far, it was like that.
Post 10 events now.
Make a motion to reopen the open session. Do I have a second? A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. All right.
Please let the record reflect, we have our entire quorum back, all 8 board members.
Excellent. All right, our next order of business is the master plan consistency review of ordinance 2748-26. It's an ordinance to amend and supplement the Township of Milburn's development regulations and zoning ordinance for building height. Ms. Beck, could you please guide us through the planner's memo and whatever else needs to be done for the ordinance?
Ms. McMillan, Stephanie's side is,
Oh,
it's okay.
Macmillan, I apologize.
It's okay, I'm not here often, but I'm glad to be back on my end. Yep, so this is a routine master plan consistency review. This board, I know, has done it because I think this is the first time I've personally done it with this board. So it's ordinance, number 2748-26, was introduced by your governing body on April 21st. Per the municipal land use law, you now review it for master plan consistency and make your recommendations back to that,
By the way, if anyone's wondering, we're winning. Whoever they are.
So this is more of a administrative ordinance, I call, where it amends 2 of your definitions. Definition of story half, and then the definition of building height. And in amending your definition of building height, it's what used to categorize within the definition a couple of standards. It's actually creating a whole new section in your ordinance of building height standards. So it's getting a little more narrow from my read of it of the definitions, and then creating a whole new section in your ordinance about how to regulate building height. This is done, I believe, largely in line with New Jersey DEP, the Resilient Environment and Landscape, also known as REAL. It's a set of rules. And the genesis of this ordinance really is around reducing flood damage in flood prone areas and amending those heights on an administrative level. We issued a memo from our office dated April 23rd, 2026, that kind of goes through what the ordinance existing issues are, the summary, and then relationships to master plan. Pretty much, it's very much consistent with the master plan. You have a goal 1, which talks about preserving the character of Milburn. In doing that, this puts extra regulations on height to help do that. Then you have a couple of objectives, which talks about development occurring at appropriate scale. Again, this is all about height definition. And then you have a goal 6, which gets a little more into sustainability and resiliency. And so that's a big driving force of this ordinance, really related to flood regulations and DEP standards and climate change and things like that.
Can you remind me which one is the change? Is the new height is considered above flood level? Is that the new regulation?
Yeah, and
Is 1 foot or 2 foot or 2
let me
feet?
see. So maybe the easiest way to do this is, should I just like read what's being stricken out of the building height and what's being added?
Yeah, you can.
So building height, the definition today, it reads the vertical distance from the average ground elevation around the foundation of the building's highest point. The average ground elevation shall be calculated by measuring the elevation at 10 feet or 10-foot intervals around the perimeter of the foundation. That's staying in. What's being stricken out is the part that used to say, when measuring to the highest point of the building, the following building elements shall be excluded, and then it was a long list. I'm not going to read the whole list. That is going to be completely reworked in a section in your main ordinance. But what's also being added to this ordinance definition is new language that says for any lot or structure required by applicable federal or state flood regulations to be elevated, the average ground elevation shall be the design flood elevation as determined in accordance with the New Jersey Uniform Construction Code and DEP Flood Hazard Area Control Act rules. applicable FEMA flood mapping and best available flood hazard data, and then it says C, DRZ, six, a couple new section, and then.
So
has
that,
it
because
listed.
I know that many municipalities say about the flood elevation +1 or +2. In our case, it's just the flood elevation. From there, we are taking the height of the building, or we need to consider this extra foot or extra 2 feet, whatever.
Take a moment to look.
I may be able to answer that question.
Okay.
That'd be great.
That's a state mandated revision to the floodplain rules. If it's fluvial, meaning non-tidal, it's 4 feet, 3 feet, actually it's existing 100-year flood.
3 feet above the.
3 feet above the published elevation.
Okay,
If it's tidal, it's 4 feet.
so here it will be
It's up here, it's fluvial, so it'll be the 3 feet.
3 feet. Okay.
Sound way better from them.
So is that, we say that in the code or we don't say that?
That's actually statewide. That's an amendment performed by the state,
So
so.
we don't have to.
So you can add it to the code, but it's already within
Okay.
the resiliency standards that the state can
Okay.
implement.
So that's really information I think this board should find consistent with the master plan.
And as the board's familiar with the chair's permission, based on the opinion of our planner, you may find that the ordinance is not inconsistent with the master plan. We have drafted and provided our evolution, providing that, again, it was introduced April 21. Governing body intends to adopt on second reading and public hearing the ordinance on at a later date. After this evening, but we have our obligation to master plan consistency review the ordinance. So if you do find that it's not inconsistent, you can go right to a motion second and roll call vote on adopting the resolution as drafted, finding this ordinance not inconsistent with the master plan. Ordinance 2748-26.
Are there any other questions from Ms. McMillan? All right, I will make a motion to find ordinance 2748-26 not inconsistent with the master plan, and also to adopt the resolution as Steve has stated. Do I have a second? All right, roll call vote, please.
Michael Cohen,
Yes.
Jorge Mastropetro,
Yes.
Frank Sacamandi,
Yes.
Michael Zion,
Yes.
Jerry Sisto,
Yes.
Chris Heinrichs.
Yes.
Vice Chair Srini Vijay,
Yes.
Chair Gaston Happer.
Yes. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, on to the application for this evening. It's application 26004, amendment to approved major site plan and associated variances for any Milburn Partners LLC, 249 Milburn Ave, block 705, lot 1. The representation for the applicant.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, good evening, my name is Derek Orth. Yes.
You're being picked up over
There we
here.
go. I'm being picked up? You can ask my wife, she's never had a problem with me speaking too loudly, so I don't anticipate an issue here this evening. My name is Derek Orth from the law firm of Inglesino Taylor. It's a pleasure to be in front of you here this evening. Thank you for getting us here in your education center. I understand there's renovations going on at the municipal building. We do look forward to seeing them completed and appearing on future applications, not this one, for the board. Chairman, as you indicated, we're here on an amended application for Andy Milburn Partners. As you indicated, the subject property is 249 Milburn Avenue. This is block 705, lot 1 on your tax map. It is located in your RMF-BH4 zone. As many members on this board, I see some familiar faces here, will recall, this is an application that was subject to intense board scrutiny and review in 2023 as part of an application for 149 inclusionary unit apartment community. The board approved this application in December of 2023. We're here tonight seeking your approval for amended preliminary and final major site plan and also minor bulk variance relief. Typically, when I make this application to the board, I'm requesting, or the applicant is requesting, some major modification to a project. That is not the case here today. We're coming back to you humbly, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, because we have a deviation from the approved conditions that the board imposed as part of the setback standards, and we modified them incorrectly in the field. There are two locations of our building footprint which deviates slightly from what this board has previously approved. They are what I will describe in a non-technical sense, minor. An engineer will testify to the scope of those deviations, but essentially we have, if you're looking at the project, plan northeast and also plan northwest, we have a stretch of the building wall which slightly exceeds the permitted building setback. Those variations, which range anywhere from approximately 10 inches to 1.5 feet in various locations of the building, trigger bulk variance relief, and also require us to come back to you, again, humbly seeking your approval for amended preliminary and final major site plan. As you know, of course, the project is under construction. We have the building shell constructed. We are prepared to proceed with the internal completion of the building. And of course, this is variance relief that we need to come back to the board to seek your approval on. So with that said, I have no further introduction. I have two witnesses, Mr. Chairman, for the board's consideration this evening. That includes my project engineer, John DiGiacinto of Langen Engineering. And I also do have our project planner, Greg Woodruff, also of Langen Engineering. And those are the two witnesses I have to present to all of you. Is there any questions, Mr. Chairman, or anything you'd like me to address before we commence?
Not at the moment, but Mr. Warner, could you please, yes?
Yeah, happy to address the predicate issues, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. First and foremost, jurisdiction always. So I did have an opportunity to review the notice, found the content to be sufficient, found the notice to be timely served. Certified mail on May 7th, May 8th published with the Star Ledger on qualified eligible online news publication, if I recall, our new verbiage or notice. Both of those dates are at least 10 days prior to the evening, so the board does, in my opinion, have jurisdiction to hear and decide the application this evening. And with the chair's permission, I'm happy to swear in both applicants' intended witnesses, as well as both our board professionals, our engineer and planner. If they will all raise their right hand. Do all four of you swear to God or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you, all four. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Please, call your first expert.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm first calling John DiGiacinto of Langen Engineering. John has been sworn in and recognized as a witness before this board, but nevertheless, there you are. Okay. If you would just briefly give the board the benefit of your professional qualifications, confirming your license is in good standing and effect in the state of New Jersey.
Sure. Name is John DiGiacinto, project manager at Langen Engineering. The bachelor's degree in civil engineering, Langen University in 1994. Been working at Langen since 1998, and I've been licensed in the state of New Jersey since 1999, and my license is currently still active. And as mentioned, I testified on the
Previously.
project.
And the civil plans that were submitted in connection with this application were prepared under your direct supervision or by you yourself, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, I would proffer him as that expert in the field of civil engineering.
We accept him as an expert in the field of civil engineering.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And John, just before we get started, just confirm, and also Mr. Chairman, just so I know for the record, we did receive the report of the board planner, the board engineer, the fire official, and the board forester as well. I believe that's the scope of the professional review submitted in connection with this application. Very good. Thank you. Okay, John, take us through what it is that we're proposing, how we got to where we are, and what we're asking of the board this evening.
Okay, so as we discussed, proceeding amended site plan approval with 2 new variances on this property that was previously approved by the board. Both of those are related to setbacks. One is Essex Street, the other is the eastern property line. So upon review of a foundation survey prepared by our office on behalf of the developer, it was noted by the building department that some of the foundation elements appear to encroach into the setback. We did a thorough dig into everything that we had from the design drawings as well as the as-built. What happened is essentially the architect, while finalizing their wall section, there were some deviations to account for a brick facade that was approved by the board. In the instance of sharing drawings and updating files, it appears that the building grew slightly, talking about 6 inches, where the brick facade was added on. And then there were obviously some minor changes that had minor adjustments or shifts in the layout of the building that occurred during construction. So going to the setback requirements, these are a little more complicated than most projects. On Essex Street, which obviously you all know is over here on the west side.
And I'm sorry, just for the record, you're referring to?
Sorry, I am referring to the site plan drawing CS 101. It is last revised March 19th, 2026. This is the application, the drawing is in the application package.
Okay, and not colorized or changed, so they need
No change whatsoever.
Thank you.
Okay, so Essex Street has a 10-foot minimum setback requirement with 2 exceptions. 170 feet of the length of the building along Essex Street is allowed to encroach to within 5 feet of the right of way. And 70 feet of the building is allowed to encroach to within 2 feet of the right of way. On the eastern property line, which is against the existing retail and their parking lot, there's also a 10-foot minimum setback requirement. That has a allowance of 105 feet of the building may encroach to within 3 feet of the property line. That's directly from the ordinance. When we applied for this project, the minimum setback at Essex Street was 2 feet. Basically right at this corner.
I'm sorry, just for the record, at this, can you speak directly?
Sorry, there would be the northwest portion of the building. It's essentially the middle jog of the building on that side. So that was a minimum of 2 feet during the application and the hearing. On the eastern side, the north, just shy of the northeast column, or just south of the northeast column, there's a little step in the building. That was at 3.1 feet. So both of those were compliant, obviously. With this amended application, we are requesting a minimum setback of 1.2 feet. That occurs in the first corner of the building closest to Essex Street in the northwest corner. So right at this location. We also have a minor encroachment at the very northwest corner where we're at 1.9 feet. So where this 1.2 foot setback request is happening, which is again 0.8 feet, roughly 10 inches beyond the 2 foot allowed, this occurs for a length of only 4.6 feet. Because this is a sort of a corner of the building, only about 4.6 feet parallel to the property lines actually makes that encroachment. Down in the north or southwest corner, where we have the 1.9 feet, that's about 1 inch beyond the 2 foot required setback. That occurs for a length of 0.2 feet or 3 inches. So almost unnoticeable. In addition, I had mentioned the exceptions to the 10-foot setback, where we can have 185 feet encroaching beyond the 10-foot setback. Or sorry, we can have 170. With the changes on this facade and the enlargement, I guess, with the brick face, we have 185.2 feet of the building that encroaches past encroaches into the 10 to 5 foot setback. The next setback is the 5 foot to the 2 foot. We only have 50.3 feet of the building encroaching into that portion where 70 is permitted, so there's no variance on that. Up in the northwest corner, again, this was a required, we are requesting a 2 foot minimum setback. That occurs in the very northeast corner of the building. This is 1 foot beyond the permissible 3 feet. And occurs for a length of 4.5 feet. In this back corner, in the back of the parking lot along the rails.
So I just say 4.5 feet?
It's 4.5 feet.
Is the one, yep, okay, thank you.
We also have where we were allowed to have up to 105 feet extend between the 10 foot and 5 foot setback. We're a request for 112.3 of the building length. Milburn frontage remains in compliance. That is required to have a 10 foot setback. The minimum setback is 10 feet, and Milburn, because of this curve, Milburn is measured from this corner 250 feet to right before the curve. So that whole facade remains completely in compliance. And then on the back side, the required setback was 1 foot. The building exceeds that. We have a minimum of 2.3, so we are still maintaining compliance. That essentially summarizes the testimony and the variances we're requesting. Any questions?
A few things if I may. Sure. Mr. DiGiacinto, no other changes to the site plan, correct?
Correct.
No modifications to any component of the building, correct, other than what you just testified to?
Correct.
We're not increasing the size of any units, correct?
Nope.
We're not making the building any bigger other than these minor deviations for the building footprint, correct?
Correct.
We're not adding any more units, correct?
Correct.
We're not increasing the building height, correct?
Correct.
We're addressing an issue that occurred. We're seeking your approval for that. I have nothing further. Mr. Chairman, I tender him back to you and the board for any questions. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for?
Yes, I have a question. So it will be easier for us to understand if you can mark on the plans the difference between the new and the old. I always think that you have to treat us like elementary kids to understand everything because you talk about so many numbers.
I was gonna say, it's a lot of
It's very
numbers.
complicated.
I get
But
it.
my question, so that would be nice for next time. So he asked you if there was no more square footage of the building.
Correct.
It is, because you are making
Well,
a bigger.
none of the units have been made any bigger.
No, the unit.
The building
well,
footprint
The building
overall,
is bigger, the footprint is bigger, correct?
it would be slightly bigger with
Okay,
this.
how much bigger? Can you tell me in the FIR, how much bigger is the building now?
Off the top of my head, I do not know the answer, but based on the numbers along this facade, we're looking at about 300 feet of frontage and roughly 10 inches of exceedance. So you're talking about 300 square feet.
Per floor.
No, just on the
Per
outer
floor, per
perimeter.
level. 300 square feet
Right, on this
extra
outer
per
perimeter.
floor.
That would,
Times
This-
4, you have a 4-story building, so you have 1,200.
so it
square
would,
feet.
it would carry up to all the floors. yes.
So you have 1,200 square feet bigger.
The ordinance
This is
does
only
not
one
have,
apartment.
the ordinance does not have an FAR requirement.
No, but I just because the attorney asked you if
Ask
there
the
was a
question.
building bigger, the building, I want to be very
I don't know.
clear, the building is bigger.
I'm not sure that that math is correct. We'll double check that. but
That's okay, but
Keep going,
it's
yes.
close, never mind, doesn't have to be accurate, it's close enough, so you are. So, and we are talking about only one side of the building.
Correct.
So on the other
Milburn-
side of the
Milburn
building, we don't
didn't
know how
change.
much bigger is the building.
Milburn did not change, so that facade is essentially exactly where it was when we got the original approval. There was also a bit of a rotation that occurred in some of the building, which is why what would have been a 6-inch brick face actually ends up being an 8 to 10-inch encroachment. So again, if I go at most with this side, with the 10, here this encroachment with this 1 foot in the very northeast corner that I spoke about, that actually is solely a result of a column design. Originally, the column was in the building. At some point, it came and shifted outside, and then it rotated,
I understand.
which
So
caused that 1 foot
1 foot
issue.
is not the typical tolerance in any construction. 1 foot is much more than the tolerance mistake that we consider in construction, right?
Yes, again,
Because
That
it's not a
is-
few.
Like a field change.
Yeah, it's a big change. So when do you realize about this change, this mistake? Because that was a mistake.
the, the foundation was essentially complete. Framing had started. We were asked by the developer to do an as-built of the foundation.
Mhm.
We prepared that, they submitted it to the building department. And that's when the building department raised their hand and said, I think there might be an issue.
So since the moment that you realized that there was a mistake, the construction was keep going on. You didn't stop the construction before to get approved yet.
There was no stop to the construction, is my understanding.
Like, to correct,
Clear, the framing had already
this,
started.
A big portion of the framing was up when this was discovered. I don't want to say the whole footprint was done, but portions were 2 stories up, portions were down.
But after that, after you saw the mistake coming, always there are mistakes. And not, so there was a mistake from our town that they didn't review this before, so I understand that. But once the mistake was found, my question is, you didn't stop the construction on that side? You keep going with.
They
because
were
it's
not
now-
required to just stop by the building.
yes,
There was discussions with the building officials. They are the ones who suggested, or actually essentially required us to verify what the numbers were and come back for amended approval. But they agreed, because they were minor, they felt it was okay to continue construction.
So the
That's my
developer took
understanding.
the risk that to keep going with the construction before to come here, and we can say, no, it is approved, now we have to demolish. So they took the risk to do that.
well, I would say,
It's not going to happen.
We
No,
took
I'm
the
sorry
risk.
to have
No,
more
I just-
information.
right, once the building department was notified, and construction was stopped, once we filed the application,
Okay, I'm sorry.
developer was allowed to proceed internally. Now, foundation had been, my understanding is the foundation had been set at that point, the error was there. I also wanna correct one other thing, I don't believe it's 300 square feet going back to that, I think it's about 3 square feet per floor, on an average, that has been incorrectly added to the building.
I think it's
But
closer
just
that
to give
than-
it, to give you some sense of context,
Okay,
we had my professional doing some math on his feet here.
Okay.
But I just wanted to give you that, okay? I'll sit back down.
Clear,
I don't have more questions.
clear, it hasn't added any square footage to any of the apartment units, right?
That's,
Strictly the outside massing, the exterior materials, et cetera.
yes, that is correct, and also, part of the deviation is where the parking garage is, and that has nothing to do with the units as well. Yes. So,
No, sorry, let me correct you. You said that the deviation here in the corner of Essex, there are apparent to it.
John, come back.
There's 2, so.
Yeah, there are two, there are
Top
three.
right
yeah.
corner.
Correct. The question was, and I believe it's for, they're asking us to confirm, are we adding anything to the size of the units as a result of the field issue?
No,
So you keep the interior finished wall where it was.
it was, the
Design.
main issue here was the coordination with the architect and the outer perimeter of the building. They incorporated a brick ledge and the brick facade during the resolution compliance that bumped out further than the building limit that we had shown on the plans. So,
Okay, so I
so
wasn't hearing-
their exterior wall, we didn't, our plans that we had submitted with the setbacks didn't account for the brick face.
So you changed the materials after it was approved?
No,
It's, I get your question. Okay, where is the extra square footage going, right? Is it in the wall, John, is
it's
it
the
in the
wall
wall?
that went
section?
from, say, a wall went from 6 inches?
Yes.
12 inches. So the exterior wall thickness would have gone from 6 inches of framing and sheeting to 6 inches plus a gap and a brick.
So you have a 6 inches gap between
No,
the
no, no, no.
wall and
Just,
the
the
framing
gap
wall?
is like 1 inch, but the brick is 3 to 4 inches. So
Can you account for the width of the bricks?
it's essentially, yeah, we had this as the facade. They put in a brick ledge and then built brick up. So the exterior wall that we were thinking of was stopped at this line. It was missed that when they sent later files, there was a brick facade in front of that technically bumped the building into that setback. So the wall isn't it, the units are no different than what was previously shown. It was a coordination issue with that thickening of the exterior of the wall.
What's the,
I'm sorry, it's too complete. I am an architect, so I know how to do this, and I don't see how that happens.
It was
Because
a-
somewhere that 6 inches has to go, and it's going inside the apartment or
No.
somewhere, because when you present this in 2023, it was already a brick building.
Yes,
So how the construction detail changed only in one section of the building and not in the full building?
the section of the building that the architect was sharing with us apparently didn't include the brick shelf and the brick facade. So we were using an outline that was missing that. When they included it, we didn't realize it and that it had bumped some of the facade pieces of the building out 6 inches. So they were essentially working with the framing as their outer edge of the building. Then they added the 6 inches.
That's okay, doesn't make sense, but that's okay.
okay, so today, for the root cause, like what actually happened? Like what did the architect, like why did he screw it up? What did actually?
It's a coordination issue. So typically what happens, the architect will give us a footprint, we will bring it in, and we will define the outer line of the building. During the site plan approval process, we work with what they had given us. During resolution compliance, preparation of our resolution compliance plans, there were several iterations with minor adjustments that were being done between the architect and the owner to comply with the approved resolution. I know there were some discussions about units and facades. It didn't change any of the setback, well, it wasn't intended to change anything. During that process from approval to submission of resolution compliance, we had several versions of architectural plans in our files that we had used to update the building. Apparently, when the last update came, we didn't realize that we were told there weren't really any changes. Didn't realize that this exterior wall thickened. So we had matched the building, and actually on the resolution compliance drawings, we had a dimension in this corner that was 3 feet, but the leaders from the property line extended over and into the building. And similarly, on this corner, we had a 2.8 foot dimension that went from the property line, but encroached into the footprint. That was missed, which is, as Derek said, humbly here, we missed it. And anyone else that looked at these plans, signed off on them, also missed it. The building department didn't realize it because, they're looking for architectural plans. So this, again, we're humbly asking for this approval because there was a minor mistake. That does, unfortunately, sometimes things happen in the field. This is a little bit different, a lot of times there are instances where buildings will encroach into setbacks just because there was a layout error and something got rotated. We didn't have a significant layout error here. Almost everything lined up. It was really that thickness of the exterior wall and the addition of the brick face that we missed in the last architectural plan. That
What is the likelihood of anything else happening as a result? Could there be any other deviations that can?
nothing else will happen on this building that would require any sort of variance. Because we did a full perimeter survey of the outer roof ledge to verify what was encroaching into the setback and what we needed the variances for. So again,
application. We did a full check on the.
right, and that as-built was submitted as part of the application. That is what defined this building and is what we used to verify any encroachments to the setback that I defined. For this corner, and then the slight increase from 170 to 5 feet in length. So no more, there's no other issues that could come up at this point because of the fact that the foundation of the building. Everything going vertical, there won't be, the building's not gonna change.
Mostly up already. Right?
Exactly. That outer perimeter is essentially set. Any other questions from the board?
You have mentioned, did we address the memos with this witness or?
Not yet.
Okay, so we're not
I
done
just-
with this direct yet.
Okay, so,
Can I go one more question?
Oh,
Yes,
please, the
please.
chair.
So the facade around the entire building increased in thickness, and it just happened that the rest of the facade around the building did not, or was not close enough to the limit of the
correct.
boundary to exceed it.
Correct. The deviations, one thing that's important to point out, the increase of the building along this facade of Millward Avenue, we're still in compliance with the 10 feet over here. The minimum that we had on the plans when we got the approval was 10.1. So that really, it may have bumped out an inch, but it didn't end up encroaching.
But why didn't it bump out the same amount
That's-
from the other one?
That's the part I'm not 100% sure because of all the different files, but it did, like, we measured all the, measured everything, field surveyed it to get the actual corners. And it fit. The big portion was, obviously this brick face on here. Along here did bump out, or this deviation of 1.9 feet, I guess that, 1.2. And then again, on this side, it's really the column that caused the problem.
You mentioned that the building also rotated, that it's.
We believe that there was a tiny rotation, because again, as I mentioned, the brick ledge is approximately 6 inches. In this location, the change is closer to 10 inches. So we think there was a little bit of a rotation in column line, imperceptible, but enough that once you build the building, this deviation became a little tight on.
The lines, where they put the foundation, but the lines, is that where?
So
Happened?
when they do the foundation construction, typical thing to do is they'll do column line layouts. So those column lines get laid out, they're tied into, the known property corners, keep everything as consistent, as perfect as what's on the drawings. Then most of the setting of the foundation is measured off those lines. So, say you have a column line running north-south on this sheet, they'll get the dimensions to each of the corners of the foundation and measure off, 2 column lines to nail that location down and then build from there. So they took that information from the architectural drawings.
Right.
Which
the
were slightly
drawings were
bigger.
wrong. So it's not that they messed up in the field, it's that the drawings they were working off of were just wrong, right?
I think it's a combination of both. It's hard to pinpoint which one had a big miss. Obviously, again, to be honest, if we had caught this at the resolution compliance, prior to the resolution compliance submission, we would have had to look at this and figure out how to make it go well. We missed it. It was missed during all the reviews for the final sign off. can unfortunately carry through to construction where we have foundations up, a lot of framing when we realize.
So are the township's own officials and engineers didn't catch this during the final review because it was that?
Nobody did, so I'd have to say yes. I mean, I don't wanna point the finger at anybody, but there were a lot of people that were reviewing and signing off on this resolution for us. Not trying to take the blame away from our side.
For the, you reviewed the board professional reports, correct?
Yes.
We have one from Department Consultants, Mr. Kennedy, and providing that. We can pull that out.
I don't
Do you have
have
any comments or
Okay.
issues with that report
No,
whatsoever? We also got a report from Topology dated May 15, 2026, correct?
correct.
You have a copy of that report,
I'll be willing, and no.
okay? Do you have any responses to the items raised in that report? We go to the planning comments.
I think comment
It
one was,
was, Scott, go to comments, Scott. All the conditions of the prior approval, but for how the board may, the board will hopefully approve this application, remain in full force and effect. Stipulation one, stipulation two is just comment. Mr. DiGiacinto has testified to all of these setback deficiencies, and it's also shown in his plans as comment number two. Comment number three, there's a question regarding our ability to screen under condition 17 of the original resolution. Can you confirm we can still screen as written and required by the board?
to the extent permissible by JCP&L, presenter being provide power and provide a transformer. The applicant intends to screen that transformer because as we testified in 2023, but while it is in the front yard, it's not something they want to be prominently displayed. So that transformer is up here in this northwest corner. So the intent is to provide as much screening as is allowed by JCP. Now, there are restrictions to proximity and where they have to access it though.
Okay, we're gonna screen. Number four is not a comment, that's just a statement. And number five, there was a question as to the vacation of existing easements. As the board may require or recall, really work I did with the township attorney and the township engineer. We prepared various zoning easements and the vacation of various easements on the property. Some of those, John DiGiacinto, please confirm, we do not need to physically modify any of the easements for water, sewer, etc. in terms of the usage, correct?
No.
Okay, from a legal perspective, there is some work, Mr. Chairman, that the attorneys will have to do because we may need to modify the meets and bounds of the easement exhibit that is connected with those easements. So for example, if we had it on the meets and bounds at whatever the location was, it may need to be slightly modified. Not thinking about
The only-
easement or on that side of the property.
The easement is for the town's stormwater easement for the property. There was an existing line running through the property that got relocated to the perimeter. And the easement essentially followed the buildings. We're gonna verify if there's any deviations, those deviations.
There may be,
He does. Are there any other repercussions? I know it sticks out for feet or whatever, but not gonna interfere with anything.
It doesn't interfere with the pipe, doesn't impact the stormwater flow, any of that.
And obviously, but it's not gonna be obviously, you're gonna confirm all necessary modifications to the easements and related documents as a result of this modification, should the application be approved, will be made by council and the engineers, correct?
that's correct.
Subject to the review and approval of township and/or board attorney and township and/or board engineer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, there was also a memorandum from.
I have
oh,
a
sorry,
brief
go ahead.
question on that issue. Is that entirely on this parcel?
Yes,
Is this a storm sewer pipe running through there?
yes.
You know what size?
Off the top of my head, it's 24 at the top, and I believe it switches to 30 down at the south end, and then it turns and it's parallel to Milburn Ave as I believe two parallel 18 inches, and it ties into a new system that we built crossing Milburn Avenue,
And there's no easement on the adjoining property?
not that I'm aware of. Did it extend on there?
Yeah.
Oh, with the doghouse.
Doghouse manhole.
Good.
Correct.
But there is an easement on the adjoining property for that same. Are you sure on this property here?
Yes, the adjacent property owner has already executed the prior easement, which was a condition of approval of the original application.
That's good because you showed 2 feet off the property
Yes.
line at 24 height, with 2 feet easement.
Yes,
It wouldn't have survived the footings. Okay.
No, you're right, that up at this.
It would have broke during construction.
At this northern portion, it was found that the existing pipe actually cut through the adjacent property's corner as it went through the site. So that pipe was essentially connected to the same end. The doghouse manhole was put in and then a new pipe was run down.
yes. We also have a report from the board forester, the town forester. As board may recall, we did get approval to slightly modify the planting distance of the street trees as part of the original application. So note that there's nothing to really respond to in this report. We're not seeking to reduce any of the street tree plantings or any other plantings on the site for this application. All will be maintained. That's all the questions I had for this witness.
Yep, Mr. McGlynn, do you have any questions?
I have one more there.
Yes.
The access to Conner. Is that easement at all? Has that ever been? Used? And I need the site plans.
Wasn't that was a condition of approval, wasn't it? The one on, the one in the northwest. Yeah. There was no existing found during the federal report.
Can you supply?
Never going to the end of the one and we're digging through the bucket at least.
Sorry, can we get the,
Yeah.
I know we're gonna get the answer from this witness, but we get the question and the answer again, there's a lot of noise going on.
Okay, well, my question is being that Conrail has been using this area to access their rear property.
The rear?
Yes, their property on Conrail,
Into the rail.
into the
That's
rail.
behind our
This is a maintenance driveway for Conrail exiting onto Essex Street. That access has been well over 30 years old that I can tell, without doing much research, just going through Google Earth, historical maps. So technically, that's a prescriptive easement. It should be codified. If they're doing an easement map along here, that easement should be codified. Not just permission, but a true easement for access to Essex Street, the Conrail property. It's been there for, if I see it, 30 years, it's probably been there for 50 years.
I'm reticent. I understand what Mr. Vernica says. Title doesn't show Conrail easement here. They've never requested it. I'm reticent to stipulate to give them a real property right.
Just access easement.
What we did do,
I see what you did, yeah.
yeah, the proposed grass pavers so that it wouldn't, if
Yeah.
they use this access, it wouldn't destroy the landscaping there.
But what I'm saying is, they've been using that probably, like we said. If it has been open and continuous over 20 to 30 years, prescriptive easement, they have rights, they can't. Because there's been a curb cut there for 30 years. There's been an apron there for 30 years, so they've been using this access for 30 years. That was asphalt. Is that asphalt removed?
I don't think that was asphalt.
It shows up on Google Earth as asphalt before this building was
I
constructed.
thought it was gravel.
Looked like asphalt.
Maybe it was at one time and never done.
So if there's easements being revised, my recommendation is that we place an easement for, because it's been there.
They're just not here. I mean, it's a legal question as to whether it's a prescriptive easement. I understand what the board engineer is saying. I just don't come into an application, the board didn't require it. Giving someone who's not here, who's been noticed of the application, who's been well aware of the construction of the project, who has a flagman out there every day, never requested this. I'm not eager to give them that legal easement. And I'm not so sure the board wants us to anyway.
It's up to the board, but technically, if the town can't give it, only a judge or this board can request it.
These Pine Bee is a K. Okay, K-L-I-N-E-B Burnersville is the case. We do not have that authority to require it. The parties meaning Conrail and the applicant, the owner can agree to it, or a court can impose it. We could, if we wanted to, ask them to pursue it.
I'll leave it ball back in your.
Yeah, I've just bounced it back. That's just to the board.
If transit requests an easement, we'll provide it to a reasonable degree.
In defense, Conrail is extremely difficult. They don't answer the phone. To put it bluntly, Conrail, a small office building, innocuous somewhere out in West Jersey. So they are honoring the access, and if Conrail wants to pursue it, they can work to pursue it. And but again, this may have been, should have been raised in the beginning of that is their main access. And their high power line, their tension lines are all along the same.
Okay, so I have one other witness, Mr. Chairman, if you'd like to open up to the public for any questions of this witness.
Yes, if all the board members and other professionals are done, I just wanted to make sure we covered all the reports, because I thought, we have a fire official report and a police report, fire official May 13, police May 12. I'm not saying that well, the fire official certainly has some.
Yes. Don, can you address that report?
It's my understanding that the applicant has no objections.
Will stipulate to compliance with the fire.
I don't want to use the term usual, but they're the usual, so I just use the term requirements that the fire official might
These are
have.
consistent with what was already.
So they're stipulating to that, and the police,
They have
no concern, so I think that we're good there. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.
If I would like to ask Victor one more question. Do you agree with everything that's been said about facade increasing, everything else staying the same?
This is a difficult building. If you had to lay this building out, there's nothing square about it.
Yeah.
So what does happen is AutoCAD files are transferred from architects to engineers, and from engineers to land surveyors. Then at certain projects, the land surveyors stake out, pin all the footings. Certain projects, the mason does it themselves. There's a litany of things that could have happened. Either the mason was doing a layout, not a surveyor. Maybe the surveyor, there's a skew to the building, so something happened. And it's a difficult building. This is definitely not a box. So these things do happen. This is not the first encounter I had with situations such as this. Must have, numerous times, because I'm also a land surveyor. So we do have this issue. Sometimes we import architectural documents that are not correct or did not meet the envelope placed by the engineer on the site plan. Sometimes the architect takes the envelope from the engineer, works with it. Sometimes somebody expands it too far. So something happens here because the building's also rotating. It's just not the brick. The building's a little rotated, so something happens. It may have been the mason, it could have been the iron workers on this one, you don't. There are a couple of questions about, there were some requests, possibility of closing these pedestrian crosswalks.
Into that difference time,
Okay,
or we could do it now.
we have the engineer up, so.
Yeah, so. I mean, the way I see it, an error has occurred, and you guys are humbly coming before us. But I feel like we ought to get something out of this mistake. And one thing that I think would be beneficial to the town and to the property itself be to address a pedestrian safety issue
caused by two crosswalks. So there's one right there, and then there's one that's off. It's not on the map there, but it's a few feet in that direction. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's come to our attention that those crosswalks are very dangerous for people crossing because there's 4 lanes of traffic. That people would have to be crossing, and we would prefer those not exist, because then people could safely cross in Wyoming where there's a light, or they could safely cross up closer to.
These are signals.
Yes,
Where we do
exactly.
that whole-
That intersection where we have the triangle. So I think the ask would be to have you guys remove the curb cutouts and put proper curbing in place there. And then you would have to grind down the pavement and fix it so that we don't have the crosswalk lines. And you do that
On both
both
sets.
and the curbing on both sides. Just you guys are out there anyway, equipment, you're professionals. I think that would be a nice thing for you guys to do for the town, and it would also benefit the residents that live there, make a safer situation. I think that would be something you guys can do to help atone for the mistakes that were made along the way.
That's very good question, fairly put, thank you very much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
One caveat. County road, you have to be the county.
County road, but we do believe
We'll
the
work with
county
the
is gonna be
county.
more than
I don't
happy
think
to
they'll
see
get,
those
Yes.
crosswalks be eliminated. But yes, we would so stipulate, we'll go to the county, get the approval for that, and we'll take care of that at our own sole cost and expense.
Got it.
That being said, are there any questions from the public?
Should go to Mike or do it, just stand.
Well, should come up and give name and address, please, and these are just questions
Yep.
now of the witness based on his testimony.
Perfect. Yep, Jay Matthews, 260 Mulberry Avenue. What would be the, and I don't know if you're the correct witness or not, but what would prevent the correction of this, or can it be corrected without the variances or exceptions that you're asking?
It would be a tremendous undertaking that would require tearing down portions of the building, tearing out portions of the foundation, and reconstructing, which is would be very expensive at this point.
Would also extend the construction of this project significantly.
Yeah, to be
To
a
have that done.
significant extension of construction and disruption that occurred from that.
Any other questions from the public? Okay. Thank you, Mr. DeJacinto.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was riveting. I have one more.
One more, all right.
My last and final witness is Greg Woodruff. He's our planner. He's going to speak briefly on the planning groups. If you wouldn't take it, did you swear?
I swore
we
all
did
that, I
that.
was doing it in front of you.
Okay. Greg, your professional licenses are in good standing in Peck State, New Jersey, professional planner.
Correct.
You have testified before this board and many other boards in the state.
Definitely many other boards in the state, I believe this board, but definitely many other boards in the state.
Mr. Chairman, unless you'd like to hear more, I proffer him as an expert in the field of professional planning.
Licenses are also current.
All current, principal in the firm, been a planner for many years.
Excellent, thank you. Find you acceptable as professional planner.
Okay, appreciate it. So again, hint taken, I'll try to be brief. Obviously, we've had quite a bit of discussion about what the situation is from a planning proof perspective. I think the two issues that we have really fall into the category of just being sort of like an impractical, a hardship issue here with what happened. It was unintentional. It was a coordination issue. It was, again, not intended. We are here, trying to make it right. Relative to some of the purposes of the zoning, again, I think all of what's identified to in the beginning, the first application still remains. Specifically, the project will activate this site, will allow for the affordable housing units that will come as part of it. And I think I was actually just at the site again tonight. I would say just from an overall downtown planning perspective, it looks like it's gonna be quite attractive component of downtown Milburn, when it's finished. Relative to some of the negative criteria, in my opinion, there's no substantial detriment to the public good. We heard about, the inches and small, deviations in that, site triangles are impacted, widths of sidewalks, like those other public things that might be related to some of those, deviations into a setback occur. The deviation in the, corner closest, the parking deck issue, the column is, a parking deck in the very rear of the site, essentially would not be viewed by hardly anyone of the public, except for maybe the person who's using that space, that is most rear in that parking lot. Relative to, the zone plan and the zoning ordinance, in my opinion, there's no substantial impairment to the intent. The intent was for the project that we have here, the approval was granted. These are very minor deviations that, again, were accidental in nature, and we are here trying to make the numbers correct on the approval. So I don't see any impairment to the intent of the zone plan or the zoning. In my opinion, the deviations meet the proof standard and could be granted.
And we're also improving, as the mayor mentioned, we've stipulated to improving the street in front of the building.
Correct. Yes, which is, will be sort of an additional balancing here to balance out the request for deviations.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Board have any questions for Mr. Woodruff?
I just had one if no one else does, including our planner.
I guess I'm more of a comment that I'd rather hear this be a C2 variance. Kind of hard to stomach this as a hardship C1 that's self-created.
But I think we did, and the witness will answer, but I think I did hear.
I was trying to walk the line of both. Some people react negatively when you put it under both, but I agree. The benefit here in that the project results is what I was trying to get at with, the original intent of the approval still remains versus, these minor distance deviations.
Even if we were to isolate this aspect from the balance of the project, which you don't do under the Kaufman v. Warren case, because you look at the entirety of the case, right? But and whether it's a better planning alternative with affordable housing, et cetera. But even if we were to just isolate this, and even if we were to presumably say what the hardship might have been self-created, in whole or in part, I think we did hear the C2 positive or negative criteria, at least I did. But I would ask that with, as I think your counsel just said, with the pedestrian safety aspect of it, even if we were to isolate these two variances from the balance of the application, would be your opinion that the benefits substantially outweigh the detriments, and the same testimony on the two prongs?
Yes.
So isolated or in conjunction with the balance of the project as under Kaufman, your opinion is the same.
That's a yes.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah,
I said yes before, I didn't want to be, yes.
No problem.
I thought you were confirming yes, as I.
No, I don't testify, I'm asking.
No, yeah, and I said yes, I didn't, yeah, sorry.
Thank you. Those were my questions.
Was there any variances in the original application? Because this was a overlay, and I know that there was probably zoning contemplated at that time.
I would have to double check that.
You know what, I'm sorry, I didn't draft it, I wasn't here, but I have. Zoning ordinance.
I don't think so.
Was it waiver procedures?
Yeah.
I think it was written so that the zoning was written so that the building.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make
There was a
is,
variance for shade tree.
obviously,
Yeah, but it was either a waiver or,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, we have
Oh, sorry, guys.
competing, our planner was speaking.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be speaking. Sorry.
no, just recognizing these affordable housing overlays get very much drafted in a way that's to a site plan, and this was not the site plan in 2023, so these variances, should this have been the site plan, maybe it would have been viewed differently at that time when drafted the ordinances.
One note, we had a variance for the shade tree spacing along Milburn Avenue.
And that was the only variant?
Yes, it was.
Question answered.
Any questions from the board? Are there any questions from the public? All right, thank you, Mr. Woodbine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Before I close it.
sounds good. All right, does anyone from the public have any comments about the application?
Thank you.
Just please give us your name and address again for the record.
Yeah, Jay Matthews, 216 Milburn Avenue, is 260. It's directly right across the street.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Can you please raise your right hand so that your comments have the weight of testimony? Do you swear to God or affirm the testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please proceed with the chair's permission.
Yep, absolutely. So I understand that the applicant is trying to seek two bulk variances. I want to address the suggestion in the application that is justified that allows purely for the affordable housing. Obviously, it was a mistake. I think that I agree with, I don't know your name, what you said, that the town should get something, or we should get something favorable for us. I think that would be a benefit. I do know the traffic is pretty bad there on Milburn Avenue. I do think it was a significant mistake. I think the testimony that was given, I don't fully follow it 100% how a mistake can happen like this. But again, mistakes do happen. That being said, I do think the variance should be denied, given that the mistake was made, and not supportive of it, at least right now. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public would like to comment? Okay.
This, I thank the board and Mr. Chairman.
Just for clarification, then the chair, I believe, just closed the public comment portion and is allowing you to make summation.
Thank you. I'll be short. I thank Mr. Chairman, members of the board professionals for hearing us this evening, considering this application. Again, we come here humbly before you to correct something which we identified in the field. We're also looking to make an improvement for public health and safety along the frontage as way of atonement for what occurred in connection with the construction of the building. As the board heard from my professionals and also from the board engineer, these types of things happen. This is a regularly shaped building. The deviations that we presented from our professionals are minor in nature. Were not done for any market benefit. And I think that's a critical point here. We provided the professional testimony in connection with the bulk variance relief. And again, we humbly ask you to grant this application subject to the conditions which were stipulated to and identified by us and by the board in connection with the review of the application. Thank you for hearing us this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Chairman, if you want, I can try to tee it up for the board as I understand it.
Little discussion, yeah, okay.
I can do it before the discussion and after, or not at all, whatever you prefer.
So few observations, also for the benefit of the public. You know, this is obviously very disappointing that it got to this point, that, you know, it's disappointing that mistakes were made, and I'm disappointed that the mistakes were not the law. You know, I think that the township should have detected this sooner. And that's something that we are working on addressing. We have a different engineer now. We also have changed the process such that in the future, the foundation will be inspected before any further work can commence. That being said, you know, there are multiple layers where failures occurred. Township professionals failed to detect deviation. The builders and those working on the building failed to detect deviation until after the fact. So that's disappointing. That's something that we should make sure doesn't happen again by being more cautious on the side of the township and being more careful in how we inspect these things and when we inspect them. That being said, the fact that there's an affordable housing component to this makes it very difficult for us as a township, you know, to deny, because what would inevitably happen is that we would be taken to court, and the courts most likely would side with the affordable housing developer, because that's just how it works in the state of New Jersey. So I don't think is really an option for us to say, go back and tear out the foundation and move it. If there weren't an affordable housing component to this, then that might be an option. And if that were the case, I would be willing to pursue that option, but that not being the case, I think we're sort of limited in our options here. It happened, these things happen, or they didn't, and make sure they don't happen in the future, but we have to deal with what is in front of us. And that's why I'm probably leaning towards in also taking into account the fact that they're willing to make those pedestrian safety improvements. I'm leaning towards giving variance.
I would just say, I think part of the other issue is, as we said, the ordinance was written to match the building, which is usually not how these things are. The buildings are usually designed to match a pre-existing ordinance. So if the building wasn't maxed out to the ultimate setback, so that where it could be 2 feet, it was exactly 2 feet, so there was no margin for error. Just as there was no error on the Milburn Avenue side, if that had been done to the entire perimeter, we wouldn't be in this situation. There would have been some contingency to allow for a small deviation like this. Of course, that's not where we are, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Again, I'm happy to hear that we will at least get some pedestrian safety improvements out of this, and what the mayor said about affordable housing is clearly accurate. I mean, again, that's the kind of project it is. We have much less ramifications, so I'm leaning sort of direction.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, so the public is aware, we had to change our local zoning in order to accommodate this building. The zoning was basically designed for the building, and had this been the original set of plans, it probably would have been approved then. So I don't know that it would have made much of a difference. That being said, I'm disappointed, and we're gonna work to rectify the issues on the township side that allowed this to get as far as it did. But I mean, I think this is what's in front of us. I don't think we have a lot of options.
Yeah, I want to say also, maybe this is more for us. I feel like sometimes when applicants come to our board, they don't come here with all information, because a mistake like a wall section should be resolved before we here. So we know that, or when you are here, that what you are proposing, you are going to be able to be. But I see many applications, they come without enough information, like thinking that who cares about Millboard, and they come without enough information. So that what is always disappointing for me to see. As I said before, when you come here and show the difference, I would like to see that on the plans. I would like to see what was approved and what is the difference, not just with numbers on the air. Like, I would like to know how much square footage is the difference, and I don't have that information. I understand we need to approve it because this is a component of the affordable housing. I also appreciate, and I want to say thank you to the developers that they are going to consider to do a pedestrian safety. We are advocating for this in our town, so I appreciate that. But 1 foot or 2 or 1 foot and something is not a small difference. It's a big difference. And the coordination should happen before this happens.
I'll say it's tough to go after everyone. I was gonna say almost exactly what he said. I'm an engineer, worked in industrial complexes. And yeah, when we measure stuff, we pinpoint it right down to the inch or two. So to have it off by a foot may not seem like a lot of people, but it is a significant mistake. That being said, I know there's still some other places where things grew and the courtyard got a little smaller. So I guess that was part of the facade as well. And I really do hope that nothing was done to increase the size of the footprints of the units. if it was, it would be, I don't know, when I was thinking about this application, would have been nice if it did increase to get another affordable unit or whatever, the size of the increase of the footprint of the entire building. Whatever that amounted to. I know that's not gonna happen, but it would be great if it would have happened. And I do appreciate everybody or the applicant also working with us on the crosswalks. I think that's very important. I'm a big component of pedestrian safety, and I do think that's gonna improve the safety on that street a lot. And yes, I will be granting the variances or voting for granting the variances this evening. Any other items up for discussion? All right. Keith, could you recap for us?
Yeah, absolutely, and I apologize for being a little too eager and jumping into it earlier. But as I understand it, we have an amended preliminary and final major site plan, as well as 2 bulk variances before us. The building setback deviations to Essex Street as described in detail vis-a-vis the deviation and the lengths of the deviation, as well as the building setback to the eastern right of way or property line, saying the magnitude of the deviation and the lengths of the deviations. That is all the relief being sought by the applicant. If it is a motion to grant the approval, I will assume, unless I am told otherwise, that it's with all the conditions stipulated to by or on behalf of the applicant, including but not limited to the items contained in the engineer's report, the planner's report, the forester's report, the fire official's report, and the police department had no comment. I believe that covers all the reports, as well as the pedestrian safety condition with respect to the crosswalks, new curbing, sidewalks, etc., being subject to the county's approval at the sole cost and expense of the applicant developer. I'm going to assume, unless I'm told otherwise, also that the board is not requiring the applicant to obtain or attempt to obtain a formalized easement with what may be a prescriptive easement vis-a-vis handrails, access way there. But again, that will be my assumption unless I'm told otherwise based on the discussions. I think that is everything, but I'm always open to being corrected.
I will make a motion to grant the variances and all the conditions that Steve just ran through. Do I have a second? I'll second. Roll call vote, please.
Michael Cohen,
Yes.
Corey Petro,
Yes.
Frank Sacamandi,
Yes.
Michael Zion,
Yes.
Sergey Sisto,
Yes.
Chris Heinrichs,
Yes.
Vice Chair Srini Vijay,
Yes.
Chair Augustine Hooker.
Yes.
Chairman, Mayor, members of the board, I thank you for your time and consideration this matter. You come back and something.
Better next time.
All right. That's our business for tonight. The motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. No,